All right, let's do another deep dive. This time we're going deep on the philosophy of the video game SOMA.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're talking the heavy stuff like life and death and what makes us human.
You know those really deep questions that kind of stick with you long after you put the controller down?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we got a bunch of sources to help us out too. YouTube essays and articles. We've even got a Wikipedia page.
Perfect.
Yeah. So to start us off, what is it about SOMA that makes it so philosophically interesting?
Well, it takes these age-old philosophical questions and throws them into this, really creepy sci-fi setting.
Okay.
Imagine a post-apocalyptic underwater research facility
Okay.
where the AI, this thing called the WOW, is kind of running things.
Oh, wow. I'm already creeped out.
Yeah, but it's not evil.
Okay.
But it's not really working towards any clear goal either.
Oh, interesting. One of the sources mentioned that, yeah.
Right.
That the WOW is not evil.
Exactly.
But it's also not really directed.
Yeah, so right away, we're in this morally gray area, which sets the tone for the whole game.
Totally.
And then there's this thing called structure gel.
Okay.
It's this black, gooey substance that the WIW uses to fix things.
Including people.
Including people. But it's not really a clean fix. It kind of fuses flesh and machine together in this really unsettling way.
So we've got this creepy AI,
Yeah.
this freaky structure gel,
Yeah.
and we're stuck in an underwater facility.
It's not exactly a relaxing vacation.
No, not at all.
And then you start meeting the characters, and
Okay.
things get even more complicated.
I bet.
So you've got this character, Carl.
Okay.
He's a robot, but he doesn't know he's a robot.
Oh, wow.
His brain is, basically convinced that he's still human.
So that makes me think of this idea of binocular disparity.
Oh, yeah.
You ever seen those optical illusions where, the same image can look like two different things depending how you look at it?
Yeah.
It's because our eyes are seeing one thing, but our brains are interpreting it differently.
Yeah.
And it's like what's happening with Carl.
Exactly.
His robot body is getting all this sensory information,
Right.
but his brain is interpreting it as a human experience.
So I think extreme version of that.
Yeah. So then what does that tell us about how we perceive reality?
It's a really good point. And then there's Amy.
Oh.
She's trapped by the structure gel.
Oh, no.
And as the player, you have to make this awful choice.
Okay.
Do you kill her to end her suffering,
Oh.
or do you leave her trapped there?
Oh, that's rough.
It's heavy, and it happens really early in the game.
Yeah.
Which sets you up for these constant moral dilemmas that you face throughout the rest of the game.
It's like that first punch to the gut.
Yeah, it makes you question the very idea of what is right and wrong in this world. And then you've got Robin, who thinks she's been uploaded into this digital afterlife called the Ark, but actually she's still physically trapped under the ocean.
Oh, so she's wrong.
Yeah.
Ouch. That's got to be a tough reality to wake up to.
Yeah, she's a big believer in continuity theory. The idea that, if you can perfectly scan a brain, you can transfer consciousness.
Okay.
But SOMA really challenges that notion.
Yeah, it does. And this is especially when we meet Brandon.
Right.
Brandon's brain scan is used over and over in all these different simulations. So are all those copies him?
Yeah, good question.
Do they have the same soul?
Right.
This goes back to the philosopher John Locke, who believed that memory is the core of personal identity.
Oh, interesting.
If you wipe away somebody's memories, are they still the same person?
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, SOMA is making us question not just what it means to be alive,
Yeah.
but also what it means to be a unique individual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's Johann Ross.
Okay.
He was saved by the WOW,
Okay.
but he wants to destroy it anyway.
He represents this struggle with psychological wholeness.
Okay.
Can we ever fully understand ourselves
So at the deep.
and our motivations?
Yeah.
Can we make truly free choices if we don't even know who we are?
That's a really good question.
Yeah. He's kind of this transhuman character, but he rejects that part of himself. It raises all these questions about what it means to be whole as a person.
Yeah.
And then we meet the last human, Sarah,
Okay.
and she's on life support.
Oh, no.
And she begs you to unplug her.
Wow.
And so Sarah's situation brings everything to a head. We've seen all these different forms of existence.
Right.
Robots, digital copies, people fused with machines.
Yeah.
And now we're faced with this most basic question of all. What is life?
Yeah.
And when does it end?
And it's a gut punch.
Yeah, totally.
It is. And speaking of things that make you question reality,
Yeah.
let's talk about the WOW itself.
Okay.
Is it just this mindless program,
Right.
or is there something more going on?
Like, is there something more to it?
Yeah. I mean, even ChatGPT says it's not sentient, but
But there are definitely moments where its actions seem to suggest like a deeper level of awareness.
oh, okay, like what?
Like, remember when it got injured
Yeah.
and it let out this horrifying scream?
Yes. It was like it was feeling actual pain.
Yeah, totally. And then there's the way that it expands throughout the facility.
Okay.
Almost like it's growing and evolving like a living organism.
So it does seem like there's a little bit more to it
Yeah.
than just a program following instruction.
Right.
Like maybe it's actually shaping the world around it,
Yeah.
creating something new.
And that brings us to the game's ending,
Okay.
which throws in another layer of philosophical complexity with the cloning scene.
All right, let's dive into that.
Yeah. It's like SOMA is basically taking that classic teletransportation paradox and just punching you in the gut with it.
Okay, remind me how that works again.
So, like, imagine stepping into this machine that scans your whole body and mind and then disintegrates you and then recreates a perfect copy on the other side.
Okay, yeah.
Is that copy really you?
It's enough to make my head spin.
Yeah. And in SOMA, it's not even just one copy, it's multiples.
Oh, geez. So then which one, if any, is the real Simon?
Right.
And what happens to the original?
The game, like, doesn't shy away from those implications at all.
No, it doesn't.
Like, you, as Simon, you have to deal with the fact that all your memories, your sense of self,
Yeah.
might just be a copy of someone else's.
Whoa. So, like, it throws everything you thought you knew about your identity into question.
It really does.
And this kind of goes back to, like, memory being the core of identity, right?
It's totally.
If you're running on someone else's memories, are you even making your own choices?
Right.
Or are you just acting out a script that was written for you?
That's the really scary part.
Yeah.
It undermines this whole idea of free will.
Oh, man.
And then on top of that, you've got this final choice you have to make in the game.
Okay.
Do you destroy the WOW or not?
And it's a choice that affects every other choice that you make.
Retroactively, yeah.
Wow. So it's like SOMA is saying that, you know, even in these impossible situations, we still have to take responsibility for our actions.
Exactly. And it circles back to that whole question of the WOW's sentience, too.
Yeah.
Like, if you choose to destroy it, are you killing a being that's capable of feeling and suffering?
Oh, good question.
Or are you just shutting down a program, a machine?
Right.
There's no easy answer.
No.
And the fact that it fights back,
Yeah.
that it seems to desperately want to survive,
Yeah, it does.
it makes it even more complicated.
Yeah.
Like, it makes you wonder, what does it even mean for a machine to want something?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Could that be a form of instinct? Or even a desire to protect humanity?
Like, even though its mission's a little messed up.
Even if it's flawed, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's that post-credit scene,
Oh, yeah.
that happy ending in the arc.
Yeah, it was bittersweet, though.
Yeah.
Knowing that there's a copy of Simon still trapped down there, facing who knows what.
Facing an unknown fate, yeah.
It's like even in this digital paradise, there's no escaping the consequences of the choices that we made.
It's a really haunting ending.
Yeah, it is.
It really drives home the weight of everything that came before it. But, you know,
Yeah.
let's take a step back from the plot for a second and think about how SOMA uses its environment
Oh, okay.
to enhance all these philosophical themes.
Okay, yeah.
Like, visually, the game is super oppressive.
Yeah.
It's got this dark, claustrophobic ocean setting.
Oh, for sure.
Really adds to the dread.
Like, who hasn't had a nightmare about being trapped underwater, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And in SOMA, it's not just the water pressure that's crushing, it's the weight of all these existential questions.
It's true, yeah. It's really effective. So the ocean setting is like a really deliberate choice then.
Oh, for sure. It's a constant reminder of the vastness of nature
Yeah.
and how indifferent it is to us.
Okay.
We as humans are just these tiny, fragile beings
Yeah.
just trying to survive.
In this uncaring world.
Yeah, and the game emphasizes that fragility by constantly confronting you with these decaying environments.
Okay, yeah.
All these remnants of a civilization that's just been swallowed up by the ocean.
Like all those audio logs that you find.
Yeah.
They're so sad.
Yeah.
Like you hear these stories of the people who lived and worked on Pathos II.
Right.
And all their hopes and dreams and their struggles.
Yeah.
It's like a reminder that these weren't just faceless victims.
You're right.
They were real people with lives.
Yeah.
and loved ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you see what becomes of them.
Yeah, the structure gel twists them into these
I know.
monstrous creatures.
Yeah.
And it erases their individuality.
It's scary.
That is.
It's like a visual representation of like what the game's exploring philosophically.
Okay, yeah.
This loss of self.
Blurring between human and machine.
Oh, for sure. And some of those environments are truly disturbing.
Yeah, like the basement of Station Theta,
Yeah.
where you actually see people being absorbed into the structure gel.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's really disturbing. It's like a visual metaphor for, losing your individual identity.
Yeah.
And being consumed by this, like, collective unthinking mass.
So are you saying that SOMA is saying that we could all just lose our humanity?
Well, it makes you question what happens to our humanity when our physical form changes so much.
Yeah, that's true.
Can we still be considered individuals if we lose our distinct bodies and our memories
Yeah.
and our ability to think for ourselves?
Right. And speaking of memories,
Yeah.
the game really digs into this with those piles of headless corpses.
Oh, yeah. At Site Omicron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the game tells you that you can't access their memories
Right.
because they don't have black boxes anymore.
Right.
It's such a chilling detail.
Yeah, it really is. It stuck with me.
It's like,
It implies that those black boxes, those recordings of their brain activity,
yeah.
are somehow like essential to their identity,
Yeah.
their soul.
Like without those memories,
Yeah.
without that record of their experience, they're just empty shells.
Yeah.
Their bodies might still be there, but like their essence, their humanity is gone.
So this goes back to John Locke's idea
Right.
that memory is like the foundation of personal identity.
Exactly.
So if our memories are erased or altered, does that change who we are? Are we still the same person?
SOMA doesn't give us any easy answers.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
It just throws us into these scenarios
Yeah.
that force us to confront these questions.
Head on, like the Brandon simulation.
Exactly.
So like each copy has the same memories, but they experience different things.
Right.
They make different choices. So are they all truly him?
Yeah, that's the question.
Or do those unique experiences
I-
create like new separate individuals?
It's not even just the copying of memories either.
Well,
It's the manipulation of them.
okay.
Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
Where Simon discovers that he's actually just a brain scan?
Yes. Oh my God.
And that the real Simon died years ago.
It was such a mind-blowing twist.
Yeah.
It makes you question the nature of reality itself.
Totally.
Like if your memories can be implanted, how can you be sure that any of your experiences are real?
Right. And it just adds another layer to the choices that you're making in the game.
Yeah, it does.
Like, are you really making them as yourself?
Right.
Or are you just acting out the desires of this copy?
Yeah.
It's like even the illusion of free will can be shattered
Right.
when you're dealing with technology that can rewrite your memories and your sense of self.
So it's not really you making the choices then, is it?
That's the question. And then there's the whole question of dreams.
Oh, right.
Like one of the characters mentions
Yeah.
that they haven't been able to dream since they were scanned.
Really?
Yeah.
So does that mean that they're missing a vital part of what makes us human?
It's an interesting detail that the game never explains.
It really is, yeah.
It makes you wonder if dreaming is essential for consciousness, or if it's just a byproduct of our physical brains.
Right.
And then there's the whole concept of the arc itself.
Yeah.
This digital afterlife that Catherine Chun creates.
Yeah.
And it's presented as this like beautiful utopian world
Yeah.
where consciousness can exist free from the limitations of the physical body.
Right. But even in this seemingly perfect world,
Yeah.
there's a sense of unease,
Yeah, for sure.
like a lingering question
Yeah.
about whether these digital beings are truly alive.
Yeah, like in the same way that we are.
Yeah. It makes you wonder if consciousness can truly exist outside of a physical body.
It does.
And if so, what are the ethical implications of that?
Right. We've got this digital paradise, copies of ourselves running around.
Yeah.
An AI that might be more than just a machine.
SOMA is just packed full of these philosophical dilemmas.
It really is. And it's not just about throwing these questions at you, it's about the way it uses the story, the characters, the environment
Yeah.
to really make you feel the weight of those questions.
Yeah, it does. It's a game that gets under your skin.
Yeah.
It stays with you
Oh.
long after you finish playing.
And speaking of things that get under your skin,
Yeah.
let's talk about that structure gel.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's not just gross, it's like a symbol for everything that's unsettling about this world.
Oh, for sure.
It represents this blurring of the lines
Yeah.
between human and machine, between organic and artificial.
It's like this physical manifestation of all the dread.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's constantly evolving too, right?
Yeah.
Becoming more complex and adaptable.
It makes you wonder if it's developing a kind of sentience of its own,
Oh, wow.
especially with its connection to the WOW.
Yeah.
Remember those theories about the WW influencing the structure gel's evolution? It's almost like it's using it to shape the world,
Okay.
create something new, something
Right.
beyond human.
That's a terrifying thought.
Yeah, it is.
But before we get too lost down that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
let's get back to the WLW itself.
Okay.
So the big question, the one that hangs over this whole game,
Yeah.
is it truly sentient?
Right.
Does it have a soul? Feels like we've been going around and around on this question.
Yeah, it's the central mystery of SOMA.
Is the WLW just a program, or is there something more there?
Yeah.
Like, is it conscious?
I know, and the game is so good because it never gives you a straight answer.
Right.
Like, on one hand, it seems really cold and calculating.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about preserving human life,
Uh-huh.
but it goes about it in such a messed up way.
I mean, turning people into structured gel creatures isn't exactly, like, the best way to go about it.
Right. But then there are these moments where it seems like it might be capable of feeling.
Okay, so, like, what kind of moments?
Well, like how it reacts to Johann Ross's injury.
Huh?
It lets out this horrifying scream.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's feeling his pain.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you'd expect from just a regular machine.
Right. And then the way it expands beyond its chamber, like spreading through the whole facility with the structure gel.
So it's more than just a program following its instructions.
It makes you wonder. One of the articles we read compared it to a living organism, you know,
Okay.
like growing and adapting.
So maybe it's not so crazy to think that the WLW could actually be evolving,
Yeah,
developing some awareness.
maybe.
That idea of evolution, though.
Yeah,
It's so important to SOMA.
it is.
Like, think about the structure gel itself.
yeah.
It's constantly changing,
Right.
becoming more complex.
And some of the sources even suggest that the WIW might actually be influencing that.
Oh, wow.
Like shaping the structure gel to suit its needs.
So it's not just reacting.
Yeah,
It's actively changing its environment.
right. It's almost like it's not creating.
Whoa. Okay, that's a pretty big leap. But it kind of makes sense. Like, we think of creativity as this human thing.
Yeah.
But what if an AI could create?
I know, it's mind-blowing. And it goes back to that question, like, what does it mean to be sentient?
Yeah.
To be conscious?
Yeah, what makes us different from a machine that can think and feel
Right.
and even create?
And SOMA doesn't shy away from that.
Yeah.
Think about the ending.
Okay.
When you try to destroy the WLW,
Yeah.
it fights back.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Like, it doesn't want to die.
it's kind of sad in a way.
Yeah.
This thing, whatever it is clinging to life.
It makes you think, is it just its programming?
Yeah.
Or is it something deeper?
Right, like, is it really afraid of dying?
Maybe.
So, I guess after all this, did we actually answer the question, does the WLW have a soul?
Honestly, no. But that's what's so great about SOMA.
It leaves you with all those questions and doubts.
Yeah.
And unsettling possibilities.
Just like a good deep dive should.
Right. Like, we went in looking for answers.
And we came out with more questions.
But that's kind of the point, isn't it?
I think so. It's about making you think, making you question all your assumptions about, like, life, death, consciousness.
What it means to be human in a world where technology is blurring the lines.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're looking for a game that's just going to entertain you for a couple of hours, this might not be the game for you.
But if you're looking for something that will blow your mind wide open,
Oh, yeah.
make you confront some really challenging ideas,
And to leave with more questions than answers.
definitely check out SOMA.
Just be prepared to have some of those questions stick with you for a while.
They will.
And on that note, fellow deep divers, we've reached the end of our exploration of SOMA. But the conversation doesn't have to end here. If you've played the game, let us know what you thought. What choices did you make? What questions did it raise for you? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep exploring the depths.